This episode of Powerhouse was brought to you by our friends at Poly. Welcome to the Powerhouse podcast. Today's guest is Tamir Poleg. He's the CEO of the Real Brokerage. They are ranked number 6 by transaction size and number 5 by sales volume in the RealTrends verified top brokerage rankings.
Thanks, Tracey. Excited to be here.
So we've talked more in the last couple of weeks than I think in 2 years. So I'm really excited to talk to you again. And I wanted to dig in a little bit about some of the topics that we talked about for the interview that I published on HousingWire. So you had said that Real is really focused on tech innovation. And I wanted to get into that. What is that? And how do you define success with that?
I think that it goes back to why and how we founded the company. We started the company back in 2014. And I think that throughout the years, we always asked ourselves, are we a technology company or are we a real estate brokerage? And every time we would say, okay, we're a real estate company, but we're also a technology company, or we're a technology company that operates a real estate brokerage. But I think that technology plays a role in different aspects, and I'll try to describe a few of them. It's no secret that this is a low margin industry, and the margins are shrinking for brokerages, which means that you have to become more and more efficient in your operations. You need to automate as much as possible. You need to be able to scale without adding more operating expenses. You need to leverage the existing human capital, but also the software that you're able to build in order to automate processes that will eliminate the need for human in the back office. So I think that from the very beginning, we were trying to focus on, instead of, for example, marketing, agent marketing, property marketing, we were trying to focus on efficiency, operating efficiencies. So we were trying to understand what are those tasks that are being handled by humans in the back office of a brokerage, and how can we replace those humans with software. So I'll give you just a couple of examples. A year and a half ago, we launched Leo, which is our AI assistant for agents. Leo currently answers 2,000 agent questions a day. So think about how many humans we would need in order to answer 2,000 agent questions. So that's number one. And this makes us extremely efficient. And we measure efficiency by the number of employees or full-time employees to agents. And that ratio is the best in the industry. And that is due to the fact that we are able to automate through software. So that's number one. Number two, another thing that we just recently launched is automated broker review. So as you know, that brokers have to review every file that agents sign with their clients. And in order to approve a file for payment, we need to verify that we have all of the documents in place. Everything is signed. All of the paragraphs are filled in. All of the boxes are checked. And typically humans are doing it. And now we created an AI tool that knows how to look and read documents and immediately provide feedback to the agent saying, hey, you're missing a signature on page 8 and you're missing the late payment disclosure. So instead of a human reading through hundreds or thousands of documents every month, we now have AI doing that. So what I'm trying to say is that AI is instrumental in our ability to continue and grow profitably and scale without adding operating expenses. At the same time, just 10 minutes ago, our tech team gave me a demo of what our AI is doing for clients. And this is a project that we've been working on. They stitched my voice. So they trained AI on my voice. And they recorded a conversation between a client that's looking for a 2-bedroom home. And that client was talking to me. It was my AI, but it sounded like me. It had the same accent, the same way that I'm speaking. And it actually had a conversation with the client. So what we will be rolling out in a couple of months is an AI tool for our agents that will enable them to switch it on and have conversations with their clients, trying to understand or better understand what they're looking for, what kind of homes they're interested in, what is important to them, what their financial situation is, collect all of the information that is required in order to jumpstart that process of finding homes. And then later on, also be there 24/7 in order to provide updates and just improve the level of service that our agents are able to provide to their clients. And again, it will feel and sound as if it's the actual agent that is speaking to them. Obviously, there will be a disclaimer, and we will tell them that this is not the agent, this is the agent's AI. But we want to get to a point in which within a couple of quarters, our agents can have voice conversations and also video conversations speaking to their clients without them actually needing to allocate the time to do so.
So there will be detractors to that, because real estate is a relationship business. So what do you have to say to people who, probably competitors, who say, well, this is a relationship business. We don't want AI talking to our clients.
Oh, 100%. This is a relationship business. But at the same time, we have to understand that AI is probably bigger than all of us anticipate. And AI will change industries, and AI will eliminate a lot of jobs. So it's not about whether Real will be using or not using AI. I think that AI is a bigger threat to our industry. And unless we, as the brokerage industry, and I urge all of my peers and the CEOs in the space to double down on AI, unless we invest in AI in order to provide the tools for our agents to provide a better service to their clients, somebody else from the outside will be leveraging AI and will end up probably eliminating all of us. So I think that it's not about, this is a personal business and based on relationships. It will continue to be so. But at the same time, you also have to try and break down what are those tasks that agents perform for their clients. And we came up with a list of 200 or 250 tasks that agents perform for buyers, for example. And we realized that about 90% of them can be automated or replaced by or enhanced by AI. So it's not about real or not real. It's about what consumers expect. And consumers expect you to be 24/7 on. They want immediate answers. They want very knowledgeable answers. They want a lot of information. And sometimes an individual cannot get to that level of service. Or I'll put it differently, an individual can be enhanced using AI in a way that is not scalable just based on the human component. So if anyone is kind of second guessing what we're trying to do, we'll probably let the future decide.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's a lot of confusion around AI in the brokerage industry, and with agents. They don't understand the true capabilities of it, and they're using it maybe to write a listing description or, what are they missing?
I think that what's encouraging is that more and more agents are using AI. And yes, it starts with, very basic tasks like, please help me prepare a listing presentation, or please help me draft an email response to that client. But those are just the first steps to maybe more widespread use of AI. I think that we cannot expect agents to build the AI technology that they need. This is on the brokerages. We have the resources, or we need to be the ones that provide them with those tools, because sometimes they don't have the resources, or they don't really know what they're missing or what they need to build. So, as a company that allocates tens of millions of dollars a year into R&D, and a lot of that is into AI research, I think that it's our job to equip our agents with that competitive advantage that is AI based. But I was on a panel over the weekend in a conference, and agents asked me, what are we supposed to do now with AI? And I told that agent that as a first step, you have to train AI on who you are. So get your AI to know you. Doesn't matter which kind of AI tool you're using. Let's say you're using ChatGPT. Just start conversations with ChatGPT. It will help ChatGPT understand who you are, what you're doing, where you're coming from, what you're interested in. I have a friend who recently started dating a new girlfriend, and every time they had an argument or a misunderstanding or something was going wrong, he would go to ChatGPT and he would actually tell ChatGPT what was going on. And within a couple of weeks, ChatGPT was becoming so knowledgeable about their relationships and why is she reacting in a certain way and why did he tell her what he told her. And ChatGPT was actually able to analyze their relationship much better than each of them was able to. So right now, most of his responses to his girlfriend are coming from ChatGPT. What I'm trying to say is that there could be a point in time in the future where AI will actually be making the decisions for buyers and sellers on what to buy on or how to sell or for how much to sell. And it could very well be that the buyer's AI will be making decisions with the seller's AI, and the human component will be just there to create, trust and make sure that the transaction moves along. But I think that it's not far-fetched to think that within 10 years, my AI will be talking to your AI, or I'll put it differently. In a year from now, I bet you that this conversation can be done without me being physically present here. It will be my AI talking to you. You wouldn't feel a difference. It will provide the same answers. It will look like me. It will talk like me with the hands and all of that. So it's not 10 or 20 years out. We're talking about quarters. That's how rapid this thing is moving.
Am I talking to your AI right now?
No. Now it's me, but you can never know.
So, how do you think your tech stack is future proofing your brokerage for maybe the next generation of home buyers and agents?
Again, I think that if we don't create a competitive advantage for agents, somebody else will be coming from outside of the industry. And we've seen some examples of that happening in the past, of companies that came from the outside and thought that with technology they can eliminate the agents. Luckily, most of them failed. Some of them are still alive, but they're not really meaningful. I think that there is a chance that in the future, something like this will happen. So first of all, this is kind of a defensive move, making sure that we have what it takes in order to fight with any external force that will be coming in and trying to take away our agents' businesses and our business. Second, I think that when we're talking about our agents and when I'm thinking about my kids and the point in time in which they will be coming into the industry wishing to buy their first home, they will probably be expecting a different kind of service and a different kind of experience than what the industry is providing them at the moment. And we want to be that company that really changed the way people buy and sell homes using technology and primarily using AI in order for my kids to have the kind of experience that they will be expecting in 5, 10, 20 years from now. So again, it's competitive advantage and at the same time ensuring the longevity of our agents' businesses and our business as a brokerage.
Yeah, I think it's a huge strategic move. Honestly, I don't know that a lot of brokers are, they're dabbling in AI, but I feel like you're much deeper into it than some of them, and it's interesting. Yeah.
100%. I think that within 2 weeks, I'll probably be able to provide you a phone number that you can call and actually have a conversation with me, and it wouldn't be me. And I think that at that point, it will be much more tangible than it is at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
And by the way, maybe another example. As a public company, we have our earnings call every quarter. The upcoming earnings call on, I think it's May 8th. There's a scripted part before the Q&A part. And that part, my part at least, will be read by my AI. It's not going to be me who's going to read it. And I bet you that nobody is going to notice that this is actually not me. At the end, we will actually say that wasn't me. But as you said, you can no longer trust whether it's a human in front of you or their AI.
Yeah, I've seen that, just on social media with AI, selling products from well-known people that they come out and say, I did not back that product. That's totally fake. That's an AI generated, image of me. I don't back that product at all. So it's interesting how people are already using it.
You know what? That's an interesting point. A couple of months ago, my brother, who's an advisor to some very large real estate companies on housing innovation, he asked me what we're doing with AI, and I described to him everything. And he said, it's interesting because we might be at a situation within a couple of years where the people that are selling real estate are not the same people that are selling real estate at the moment. And I asked him what he meant. And he said, let's take Gary Vee, for example. He's an influencer. He has massive following. People trust him. People know that he's business savvy. Imagine that Gary Vee had an AI tool that would enable him to service home buyers without him actually spending time. So, taking them throughout the process, he would figure out a way to actually open the doors and show the homes to them. But let's assume that Gary Vee had a tool that was able to cater to hundreds of thousands of home buyers at the same time. Why wouldn't people buy homes from Gary Vee? And that's interesting, because I think that AI truly has the potential of changing the profile of the people that are actually selling real estate at the moment. It would go from, real estate professionals to maybe more of influencers. So it would be interesting to follow.
Yeah, I'm all in on this. I want to see what happens. It'll be really interesting.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about your culture, because you kind of cited autonomy, upside, and culture as the key drivers of agent recruitment. Aside from the efficiencies of technology on the brokerage side. So how do you intentionally scale a strong culture across thousands of agents and in a virtual mode?
You do not compromise, and you always do the right thing. This is a question that came up when we had 1,000 agents, and then 2,000, and then 5,000 and 10,000. I think that if you build the right human foundations to any organization, that foundation will end up attracting like-minded people. So I always give the example of, I'm Israeli. And if you stand in line in Israel, it doesn't really look like a line. It looks like a bunch of people that are trying to get ahead and get to the head of the line with no respect to everybody else. If you stand in line in the US, it's a clear line and everybody respects everybody's space. But if an Israeli traveled to the US and they would stand in line, they would stand in line like everybody else. So what I'm trying to say is that if you create the right culture and you make people understand what's expected from them, they will probably behave and react the way you expect them to. So if you have enough people building the right foundations, even if every now and then there will be a bad apple coming in and trying to change things out, they will end up either, being pushed out or just changing their way. So I think that culture is something that we focused on from the beginning. We didn't cut any corners. We did not jeopardize culture in order to have faster growth, even though we did have opportunities to bring in people that could bring a lot of agents with them, but we didn't think that they were the right fit. And you have to think very long term about growth and building your organization, and this ends up in making the right decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have like an equity and rev share model. So tell me, how do you evolve those programs to stay competitive?
Well, those programs are competitive from day one, just because of the fact that not too many other brokerages have rev share and equity offerings. It's not easy to maintain those, I can tell you that, and maybe this is the reason why not too many brokerages have them. And also, it's not that easy to give back so much to the agents. As we said, this is a low margin business, and unless you're extremely efficient, you don't have enough to give back. So we started doing revenue share in 2020. We started our initial equity program. I think it was back in 2017. We took the company public in 2020 just to make that equity publicly traded and a little bit more accessible. Every now and then we do some tweaks to our rev share model and equity program. But at the end of the day, I think that holistically or philosophically, agents come first in this company. And we want as many agents as possible to be owners in this thing that we're building together. And it's only right that we have an equity program in place. So there was never any discussion about, whether this is working or not working, or should we or shouldn't we do it. I would say that currently agents are the largest shareholders in the company as a whole, and I expect that to grow over time. And I'm actually happy to see that happen.
That's great. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of the mind of a leader. So talk to me about maybe your greatest leadership fail that you failed forward.
Oh, I fail all the time. Um, everything that happens in the company ultimately is my responsibility. So if we don't do well in a certain quarter, it's on me. If we have to end up laying off people, it's on me. In the past, we laid off almost everybody twice in 2017 and 2018. And I think that was those were two moments where I felt the failure the hardest, just because you're looking in the eyes of people who believed in you, who put their faith in you, who trusted you, who left their previous jobs, people that have families that are dependent on you for their livelihood, and you have to tell them that you failed and you don't have money to pay them, and you have to terminate their employment. So those were very difficult moments for me. I think that the most difficult moments. In addition to that, in at the same time, in 2018, we were trying to raise money, and we were very close to raising money from a very large fund that, by the way, later on did invest in us a few years later. But I came to the final meeting with the investment committee. I had to do a decent job because everybody was sold out already. I just had to show up and not make any mistakes. And I just didn't do well at all. I blew it, and they ended up not investing, and the company had suffered serious financial consequences because of that. So what I'm trying to say is that I have a lot of failure moments, but luckily I'm also taking some right decisions every now and then, and we're doing well for the moment.
Yeah, well, that's being an entrepreneur, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to fail. It's really not. It's really learning from those failures and taking them to turn them into opportunities that
Yeah.
is what it's all about, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So my final question is just how we talked a little bit about how real estate companies have to be more, they're agent first, but there's a lot of focus on the consumer now too, that maybe brokerages didn't focus on before. They were solely focused on agents. So talk to me a little bit about that shift and what it means for brokerage in general, and how you see that trend impacting the industry.
I think that brokerages have been focused on agents for the past 10 or 20 years just because of the fierce competition that exists in the industry, and we lost sight of the consumer. Because at the end of the day, brokerages exist because they're in place in order to serve consumers. That's the ultimate goal. So I think that the fact that there is more and more chatter about consumer and what's best for consumer is actually good long term. I think that the reasons why that discussion started is because of certain lawsuits that maybe were not beneficial for the industry. But I think that long term focus on consumer is something that we should be blessing. I also think that everyone who's speaking at the moment, or most of the people that are speaking and taking a stance when it comes to consumer facing priorities, are doing that out of position, and I would be happy to see brokerages focused on true consumer innovation and true consumer experience, because right now we're dealing with things that are still within the realm of brokerage competition of, this company is doing this and this company disagrees because it threatens them a little bit. So it's still about the brokerages, even though that the consumer is a part of the discussion. I don't see enough focus on what do consumers truly want and how can we allocate resources to provide consumers what they want. It's still very much around brokerages, unfortunately.
What's next for Real? What should we be looking for next?
I think that we're heads down executing. We don't really care about we do care about the market environment because our agents are affected, but we're trying to write our own story and continue to build and attract great agents to the company. And the number one thing that we do is constantly try to build value for agents. And we believe that if we build sufficient value, then more and more agents will be attracted to that value. So for us, it's just finding ways to deliver more and more value to agents and to their clients, and with a lot of innovation involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I look forward to seeing you in person at the gathering in June, where we dig into some of this and more in our fireside chat. So thanks, Tamir, so much for joining me.
Thanks, Tracey.